Hello, hello, and welcome to Unfiltered Eat Better, Think Better series. This is where we get real about our emotions, mindset, connection to food, and healing, and what it really takes to break free and feel good in your body and life again. I'm your host, Jaini Shah, and in this series, I sit down with everyday people who face challenges with their health, body, their mind, their confidence, or long held beliefs that have held them back, and found powerful ways to rise and grow through it all. These are real stories. No filters, no fluff. Just raw conversations about what they struggled with, what actually helped, and how they created transformation from the inside out. Whether you're on your own journey or just curious on what's possible, you're in the right place. Here's to eating better, thinking better, and living a phenomenal life. Let's go. So, in today's episode, I have this wonderful Mercy who is joining us today. Mercy and I have spent quite some time together on her food journey. And what I've loved most about working with Mercy is how honest, how curious you've been, and how open you've been throughout this entire process. And when we sort of first started working together, we were diving deep, not just into what to eat, but into why we eat the way that we do and how food also connects to everything from energy, emotions, to confidence and self trust. And so I wanted to have this conversation today because I really feel so many people will relate to what Mercy has experienced. That moment of realizing something has to change, the courage to take that step to do something different, and then the learning that happens when you start to rebuild your relationship with food and with yourself from the inside out. So, Mercy, welcome and thank you so much for being here and for willing to share your story with us. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome. And we both somehow coordinated on yellow today. This was not planned, but we're both wearing yellow. So, I'd love to start at the beginning. I've worked with you for quite some time, but I don't know everything about Mercy. So maybe you could share with us a bit about before we actually started working together. What was your relationship with food like, with your body like, with your health like, and what was going on in your life at that time before?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Janie. So the one thing I can remember about my food lifestyle it really is in the past was first I was operating on some form of autopilot of a life I think that had happened for many years. And I was telling myself things like, I'm naturally big, I have a huge appetite, I can eat anything and not get sick. I'll start taking care of myself in my 40s and things like that. So I just assumed my health will always be there. Probably just being young and youthful and active, I really didn't face much in terms of even overweightness in my early 20s, really, like from childhood to my early 20s. And I think that was because of just physical activity and maybe not overeating. And over time, I got into a lifestyle that involved a lot of hanging out of the home, like drinking, partying. And so I'd eat whatever I find available. And over time, I even I no okay, in retrospect now, in the
Yeah.
deep of in the deep of things I didn't know, I had lost my sense of even knowing when I was satisfied. I had lost my sense of taste because I was eating so much pepper, like unreasonable at amounts I can't even consume now. I had lost my sense of what is nourishing my body really. So I was just existing. I was existing. And about 3 years ago now, I stopped consuming alcohol for just, it just happened suddenly. And in that period, now I wasn't anchored to the lifestyle I was living. So I'd find myself still telling myself the same things. I like to eat. I like to this. I have to eat to be. One of the things when you're in a party life, you have to set what we call a foundation, so that when you drink, you don't get too wasted early. And so I'd make sure I eat mostly before that. And so I always so I think moving on now into autopilot and without the drink, I'd have moments where I eat copious amounts of food and I'd question myself, was that necessary? I'm so full, I can't move. But I think psychologically, what I was doing in the past was ensuring I don't absorb too much alcohol too fast. So I used to eat loads and loads of meat and maybe ugali and maybe a vegetable to say I'm healthy. To say I've taken some, say that's balanced diet, done. So the quantities increased because obviously I'm not like when I'm doing it, I can't even tell when my last meal was reasonably. Sometimes you remember the one you want to remember. Was it breakfast or dinner and things like that? So you can imagine that was the life. And I in many ways, I stopped even having interest in cooking and things like that. So I was eating food related to the bar. So
could you say that again? Eating food related to?
The bar lifestyle, like
The
really
bar
a bar, not a high-end restaurant, or the bar like nyama choma, nyama boil, soup, ugali, veg.
Yeah.
So, and that would be tick like I've had a nutritious meal for the day. So that continued after, but over time, now after the drinking has stopped and the way of eating, I would now realize I've eaten. I'm not digesting well. I'm not operating well in the afternoons. I'm not okay. I'm not fine. I'm not fine at all. And I started questioning myself, attempting diets. I went to various kind of common diets, which now I'd started not complete. I'd not even go beyond day 3. I'd be like, this is torture, I'm done. This is torture, I'm done. So early this year, 2025 was actually it has been the transformative year. I decided, first of all, to start with workouts. And in the process of that, my coach introduced me to you and sent me some videos about you. And the thing that touched me most was the self-healing journey you kind of went through. And that's how I reached out and we started our journey. And I still was, you remember, I don't know if you remember the first times I came in, I disappeared. I was just like, what's going on? I wasn't so sure what it is we're working through, but I was determined to work through it because a lot of things that you kept saying and the people who were saying made sense. I just didn't know how to incorporate them. So I was like, what I liked was that patience, piece by piece, where are you, what's happening, like that kind of a thing. So that is when I was able to realize it's more than just taking a plate and eating, or the autopilot I was living in at that point. So that was my relationship in the past, and I'm happy with the direction now it's taking.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm going to rewind just a little bit back because I'm just very curious. Was it easy to stop drinking alcohol?
So my story of alcohol is very interesting in the sense that I had a near-death experience, and I was like, I'll take a break. So the feeling of what that made me feel made me not desire alcohol again. Although in a few sittings, remember the point I used to sit with you're encouraged, just have 1 glass, 2 glasses. I'd even have 1 glass of even wine, which is what now I'd feel is stepping down, because I was taking quite a bit of hard drinks, the vodka and that. I would throw up. My body would just reject it immediately. It would not go beyond an hour. And there's a time I even managed to take 3 glasses of wine, and I could not wake up the following day, and I was sick for a whole 24 hours. Sick, and I'd never experienced this in my whole drinking. And I was like, this is a message. If I'm not dying from an incident, I'll just die from consuming it. And that was the end. So it was an instant divorce. And the interesting thing is I would even still sit in those setups and look at it, and I'd be like, we just are not meant to be together. I'd even talk. I'd actually speak to the bottle and be like, I'm so sorry. It just, the road has ended for me.
Yeah, I love that because, sometimes when people ask, like, how do you change how you eat? How can you just give up XYZ, the thing that you really love? And that's why I was curious about what and how it happened with you and alcohol. And sometimes when you get that experience, and then on top of that, when you consume the thing and then you feel sick, it's like you really are now listening to your body saying, hey, listen, no, thank you. This is not working for me. And so you had 2 shifts. You had the mindset shift because you had this experience near death. You had a feeling of like, whoa, I don't want to do that again. And then 2, you had the physical reaction as well to it. And so kind of like those two combined was enough to give
Was
you what you needed.
it was
Um,
enough.
yeah. And sometimes
Was
it's
enough.
kind of sometimes it's the same with food as well, I think.
Oh yeah, like my coffee.
Yeah, yeah. How is that going? Now, is coffee back?
No, and the other day I got a gift that smells of coffee. It's a very nice scented candle. It's so beautiful. I really like it. I'm always with it. But then I was like, should I just have a cup of coffee? I went and prepared one. After it, I was like, no. I
No.
think we completed our journey too.
Yeah. And just so
But
that
I
people
feel like
watching and
alcohol
listening,
replaced my alcohol drinking. I feel like coffee replaced it
oh, yeah,
in a sense. Yes.
interesting. So the coffee replaced the alcohol drinking, but now, and let's give people a bit of background because when we started working together, it was like coffee was an everyday thing. And you said, look, we'll work
Every three
together, but don't
hours.
make me stop coffee. And we got through to a point, but maybe share a bit about that, the before with coffee, and what did you realize, or how did you come to a place where today you're smelling a coffee candle and you're like, it's okay, I still don't want a cup.
Yeah, very interesting. That's what I was thinking about when I was smelling it. So when we started working together and now I was deeply querying what's really happening in my life, one of the things I realized was coffee was I don't know if it was my comfort drink or my distraction drink. The way alcohol is taking you away from dealing with your problems. It was in that moment when I had to make a decision, I'd rush to the coffee to look for coffee. I had coffee
Mm.
almost everywhere so that it was easy access. Hot water, there was somewhere I would find coffee. So when we started the journey and uh, everything that was, I think we were doing weekly revelations of things. And remember the conversation about coffee, you were like, you really don't have to leave it, but just know how it affects your body. Look at all these things. There's a specific video I watched and I could feel, I don't know how to explain it, but I could feel the effect it was having on my nervous system. Every time I drank it, like I watched that video and I could feel what it is I was chasing, like some sort of spark that was
Yeah.
bringing something. And I could feel what he meant by that nervous system and how it actually works when we think it's generating energy, but it's kind of an adrenaline activator. I don't know how else to explain it. I
Mm.
could just feel how that is impacting my own nervous system in some way. And it's just a vision I can't get out of my mind. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to weaken my nervous system at this point. And there's water, which I'm not consuming enough. And there's especially water. I'm always like, have I had enough water first? Have I had enough water first? So it's that. And then so I also realized the mouth gets used to that taste. It's kind of once now you I have a certain, and it was also it had to be prepared a certain way. So once that gets to my mouth, I feel comforted and I'm able now to be like, I'm fine. I'm within my environment. I think if I can postpone even that decision or do whatever, I'm safe. But that was the other thing that yeah, that was what the coffee was giving me. So when I went into the water and I started doing water and lemon for a week, it reached a point and I was like, I miss the water and lemon. So it's when I realized it's training. It's really training. Like I want that warm, especially in the morning. I'm like, yeah, this is my how I wake up, sunshine and things like that. And I'm enjoying the water drink. And I'm like, you can actually train yourself to have good habits that are
Yeah.
beneficial. So that was another thing that coffee transition trained me. And I was like, it's about choices. It's about choices and not trends. Because you see now, coffee was a thing of, yeah, it'll show I'm working hard, I'm doing the right thing, I'm pushing my energy. Like showing up with a coffee mug in the workplace it's
Yeah.
a sign of strength
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I
and
love
wanting to
that.
push forward and like showing up correct. So that it was an acceptable vice, but not safe for my body.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that I thank God I was able to do. And also realizing my cookie habits were also comfort habits to piga moshene. Rather just have conversations with girls and catch up and things like that. They just went well. And now listening to my body, I would tell, you can actually still have something healthy as you have conversations. And that way you can control even your conversations to be more meaningful. If you're controlling what you're consuming, you'll control a lot of things you're even doing in that period. So your hours become more meaningful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really what I can say about those two divorces.
Divorces. I love that. I'm so borrowing so much from here, by the way. It's about choices, not trends. I love that power statement.
Mm.
It's so true. When I was a lawyer, I remember that power of you wake up in the morning, you go, you sit at your desk with a cup of coffee, and it's like, okay, now you're a serious person doing your serious work, you know? And it's breaking free of that. That's just a trend. That's a myth. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. So yeah, I'm really happy to hear that you have had a friendly divorce with coffee as well as cookies. Diving into that, I
And
think a
another
little
thing
bit.
I like, I'm not too worried that I can never have coffee. For example, if it was the only drink served at an event and it would look weird for me not to take it, I can drink the coffee because at first I can still now listen to my body. Is that what I thought happening? And then, like I'm not worried, like, I'll never do that. Because what the thing with diets is stop this, start this. It's like a hard stop. So that's the other beauty about learning, getting in depth with what choices you're making for your body. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so spot on is that now you don't feel like you're not allowed or shouldn't have or you're forbidden from having coffee. You just
Yeah.
have a really deeper understanding as to why you were having that coffee in the first place. And it's not a hard stop, but hey, if that's the only thing available, you won't torture yourself over it. You'll be like, okay, maybe I'll
And I
have
will
it,
make it
maybe
up.
I won't.
Yeah, I will make it
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's powerful. That's one of the best things about doing this journey with food, rather than from a diet restriction point of view, doing it from the inside out. Why is it that
Right.
I'm making these choices in the first place? What is this calling or comfort that I have around this cookie? And how can I support myself from the true need and work on that part so that I don't have to lean on the cookie?
That's
Maybe that's something you can dive into with us is as you went through this journey, what was most surprising for you? Or maybe what's something you didn't expect to learn about yourself or your habits?
wow. So I think the biggest highlight and the turnaround, to be very honest, for me was the RTT. I don't know if I would have been able to complete any of the programs we did because we really started and stopped, started and stopped, started and stopped. I really didn't get to complete anything, but getting deeper into my subconscious to know some of the things that are just beyond the meal in front of me that were inhibiting me, and I was able to face and deal with them. That changed even how I did the program going forward and applying everything that I learned and being able to see results. So even knowing that option of learning about myself or getting to know myself deeper in any area of my life was very eye-opening for me. And so I really must remind you, remember I was ready for a session. I wasn't so sure what I did. And I can't express how much, even in my daily life, I keep going back to that moment and I'm like, that was it. I'm able to speak to myself differently. I understand myself better. I I I realize some autopilot habits and I know where they're coming from and I'm able to now redirect myself. It's really more of self-management. And if I'm committing to do something, am I really, like, I'm able to ask myself, am I really interested in doing this? Or am I just saying it because it's the thing I need to do? And tick it off the box. I don't know how else to express that, Jaini, but
Yeah.
that was my biggest. I think that the thing I've taken biggest out of this is how deep I can get to understand why certain things present on the outside and what I can do about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, sometimes it is really challenging to express what an RTT session can do for us or the understanding and the insights that we can gain. But I think overall, the big point is it's never about the food, and it's never about the cookie or the coffee or the thing. It's always the underlying thing that's going on. Yeah, and so it's always about the underlying thing. And I think if we can all be then more compassionate and kind to ourselves, to not be so harsh and say, oh, why can't I just stop eating this? Why can't I just lose the weight? Why? But rather be like, you know what? What if I just ask myself some of the deeper questions? Or what if I get that support to understand what's going on behind? Because then you realize it's not you, it's not your fault, it's not the food's fault. There's just something underneath that's making you do these things. And when you can recognize those, it's like you said, then you will understand yourself so much better, which means these autopilot habits won't just be there. They were there because they served a purpose, they served a function, they were doing what they needed to do for you at that time. But when you realize, yo, this is not supporting my health anymore, this is not supporting the life that I want anymore, you can find out where they came from and then you can start, changing them. So for you, what do you think? How has your understanding of food changed? Not just physically, but emotionally and mentally through this process.
So first of all, it's the amount of knowledge even I had before these sessions was quite a lot. I knew what the right thing was. I knew exercise needed to be done. I knew to be nourishment has to happen in a certain way. I knew to have an ideal body, this needs to happen, but I had not implemented any of it.
Mm.
And that in itself, I didn't even realize it was a problem, but now I was able to see what the issues were and what I can possibly implement today based off of what I know, what I have available. And this came from even things like habits. Remember, I said I wasn't even cooking. And cooking is not just about waking up and preparing a meal. It's like, what is it you want to cook? What is it you want to have that's nourishing and good and healthy for your body? What quantities do you require for this week and how often can you go to the market? How fresh can you get your food? What's really available to you in the scenario? What is the budget you have for food? Like all those things. So you can imagine when I have money, I would, look for an enjoyable steak. And when I'm broke, I'd eat bread and, tea. Because as long as the stomach is full, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like who will tell what I've eaten today? And those were the things I'd even tell myself. But at the end of the day, your body will tell on you at some point in your life based off of what you've eaten and what you're eating and the habits you're putting. So those are some of the things I learned planning.
Yeah.
I learned like now I don't just walk into a butchery to buy meat. I just say as long as there's meat, what's the problem? And I think deeper, what meat do I want to do? And then I don't even stick to the same person. I always keep finding out who are more reliable with those things I need. Where can I get even fresher? If up country we have space that we can plant, is it possible even once a month I just eat what's from up country? It's still beneficial more than just eating this taka we find out here. Learning as much as to even realize how much supermarket food is harmful to us. Reading labels, literally reading labels and understanding what it is, and that kind of a thing. And so there's many things I'm still implementing and learning how to implement and work through, but now being able to single out the things that matter to me and doing them and then seeing the impact and then working through them, find that it's not as simple as it becomes a straight line, but the fact that I'm still progressing in the direction of, I want to prepare my meals. I want to eat. Living the habit is not that easy, but the intention exists and it's happening. At every week, I will when I look back and reflect the week, I'm like, I'm still better than where I was. So there's that, and learning how now to prepare food, store it. Oh, this is even, eating what came in last fast. Those things, them, but I've never done any of them. I know them. Even from work, fast in, fast out, really prepare, boil, stop, stack up, nice containers, but not doing it. So now,
Mercy, what do you think is the change that's happened from knowing to implementing?
Wow, good question. Commitment. I think the thing is I question what it is. When I understand this will help the process and commit. Now I don't commit for committing for. I've said yes. I commit to do. So now I won't. If even you look at my life now, I won't accept everything anymore because I'm like, I don't even intend to do that. Why am I saying yes?
Yeah.
Why am I agreeing to go for that event? And it really can't happen, or it's no longer serving me anymore like it used to in the past. I'm not interested, and they're feeling low, I'll hurt their feelings, or they'll start judging me. Now those things even don't bother me anymore, because if I'm just focusing on what I've committed to, I'm not focusing on should I not. If that one is not working for me, why I've gone this way. That was not working for me, I've gone here.
I love that. You know what's really interesting is that one of the reasons we did the RTT session before you started the 90-day program was actually around this commitment. And I don't know if you recall that, but you were like, yo, listen, if I'm going to commit to something for 90 days, I need to figure out my mindset to make sure that I'm here. Because you mentioned earlier, you do diets, you do everything 3 days in, and you'd be like, no, you stop. And so it's incredible how we went into that session to work on commitment. And by the way, if anyone who doesn't know, you go into an RTT session thinking of one thing, but you get like all these other answers you didn't think were the answers. But you come out of it now having reprogrammed your mind to say, you know what, I do commit to me now. And it's so beautiful to see this coming out for you now, not just as it relates to food and your body and health, but all the other commitments in your life. You're now honoring yourself and you're choosing the things that matter rather than just everything. So I just really wanted to point that out.
That's true. I didn't even realize it, but that is true. That's been the real shift, and it's everywhere, really.
Yeah, it's
It's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Okay, as we come towards the close of this conversation, I'm curious if someone was listening to this or watching this and they feel stuck in their cycle of food and health, what would you want them to know from your experience?
I think the first thing is to acknowledge you're stuck and accept you need help. And you're going to that because the thing is, I was stuck for so many years, and I knew I was stuck. And I thought I had the answers by reading, accumulating this, buying a book, starting a diet, and things like that. But getting help from someone who's done it before changed the course of the direction I was going. So I think it's yes, genuinely acknowledging that you're truly stuck, and accepting that in the best way you can, and then from there seeking out help. And there's so many options. Find help that will work for you. And for me, I'd encourage it to be another human being who's done it. Even the Bible tells us we need each other. And these are moments you realize someone else who's gone through it can lift you up and out of it. So that's what helped me. And now it's a journey I know for the rest of my life. I'll be conscious of, I will keep improving on, I'll keep growing on, I'll keep seeking out assistance from wherever it is. I'll be able to get information that can help me, and also share what it is that is working for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Mm.
And yeah, that's why these conversations and stories are so powerful, because you here now are sharing. you're sharing your inspiring story of what supported you and what's helped you. And I know so many people will connect deeply with what you've shared. And for me personally, what stands out the most is how you've approached all of this with self-awareness, so much self-awareness, as well as kindness to yourself, because it is really about progress. It's never about perfection. It's when you reflect on that week that you talk about, you say, you know what? I am better. That's what this is about. Because, yeah, your journey as well shows that learning, it's not just about food or how to eat differently, but it's also how to think differently about yourself. That's where it all ties in. So as we wrap up, I want to end this conversation with a question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, if healing had a voice, what would it say to you right now?
You are on the right track. You are on the right track, and the one that comes to mind is you're on the right track, considering where I was and where I am today.
Yeah, beautiful. Amazing. Thank you so much, Mercy, for being here with us and for sharing your story. And for everyone listening and watching, if this conversation resonated with you, helped you, or made you feel seen, please be sure to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And come join our free Facebook community, Eat Better, Think Better. It's where these conversations continue and where you'll find real people walking the same path. And if you're ready to go deeper in your own journey, whether it's healing your relationship with food, shifting your mindset, or breaking free from beliefs that are holding you back, you'll find more support, resources, and ways to work with me at www.eatbetterthinkbetter.com. So until next time, here's to eating better, thinking better, and living a phenomenal life. Let's go.
Bye-bye.